Tonight, just over 2 years after he walked free from jail, George Pell is once again facing court action, the Cardinal and the Catholic Church being sued in a civil case. Then and now. A lot less fanfare, but still plenty at stake.
Our client's been through a lot. He's lost a child, which is horrific for any parent to have to go through. But learning the circumstances in relation to what happened to him has been very difficult for him.
The father of one of the choir boys at the centre of George Pell's 2018 criminal case, today launching civil action.
Our client has suffered significant psychological harm as a result of what happened.
The man claims both Pell and the church were negligent, seeking damages for nervous shock after learning of the sexual abuse allegations following his son's fatal drug overdose. In 2019, we spoke with him.
Well, I have basically had several heart attacks. I've had anxiety issues. I've had depression issues.
It's been a long journey to this point. Pell charged with multiple child sex offences in 2017 before being tried, then retried. Eventually, he was found guilty and sentenced to 6 years for abusing 2 choir boys in the 90s.
This is a big win.
Turns out there is a God!
We can all get on with our lives now.
Months later, a Supreme Court appeal from Pell's team was dismissed. But in 2020, the High Court acquitted the Cardinal of all charges and he walked free from jail.
This outcome of the court will be received well by some, who will be comforted, it will be distressing for others to hear.
Now, the Catholic Church and George Pell, who's always maintained his innocence, are on the defence once more as both sides prepare for next month's hearing.
Yeah, even today, there's not a day that I don't think of him. I don't think of what's happened.
We did reach out to the Catholic Church for comment today. Our offer was declined because the matter is before the courts. George Pell is yet to speak publicly. Shine Lawyers Chief Legal Officer Lisa Flynn is, as we just saw, representing the former choir boy's dad. Lisa, thanks for being with us. Just how is your client doing today?
Thank you for asking. Our client has been through what no father should ever have to go through. This has been he's carried the burden of this for a number of years. But today he is feeling quite optimistic about the positive steps that have been taken to progress his case through the courts.
Difficult decision to proceed with legal action, given this has been such a protracted matter?
Our client has been very resolute in his pursuit for justice. He's been unwavering in his journey to seek the truth, and he does know and he is aware that it's a long and arduous journey, but it's one that he's committed to, and his determination to see this through has been quite inspiring for us.
So, Lisa, George Pell has already been acquitted on the criminal side of things. So why launch a civil case?
There are different routes for justice for survivors and victims of sexual abuse, and we believe in his right to pursue a civil case, and we will continue to fight for him until he sees that justice is served.
So with that being said, Lisa, how confident are you in the case?
We wouldn't run a case unless we thought that we could win it. We wouldn't put our client through that. We know that it's a big fight. We know that it's an arduous fight, but we're committed to fighting for our client and fighting for justice for as long as it takes.
So with criminal trials, there's a very high standard of proof. It has to be beyond reasonable doubt to get a conviction. In civil cases, it's a lower standard of proof, just the balance of probabilities. How big a factor for you in deciding to proceed with this case was that difference in standard of proof?
There is differences within the standard of proof required for a guilty verdict in the criminal courts. It's a different standard in the civil courts. That is, as I said, we wouldn't put our client through this unless we thought that we can win this case.
So, Lisa, what comes next? Will George Pell front court over this?
I don't want to, preempt the court process from here. We do know that the matter will be back before the courts in early August, and we will be in the court's hands in terms of the timetable from there.
Lisa, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.